Wrote a string quartet. Haven't written a string quartet for a couple decades. I wanted to explore Spitfire's solo strings and just see what I could do with them kind of out of the box. Here is a little bit of it I'm going to talk for the first playthrough. I've got the violin at the top. It's the virtuoso total performance. The cello is also the total performance. Then the viola longs and shorts are separated because of the way that the viola patch, I didn't really find a total performance. So there's the cello solo legato. And violin 2 is that first chair. And, I wasn't trying to write virtuoso pieces. I was trying to write, like, TV music. And I didn't make any changes to mic positions. I did make changes to mod wheel, but I didn't change the vibrato. I didn't change expression for the whole piece. Because did I mention that I did this in an hour? I gave myself an hour to just sort of come up with an idea, write it. So if there's underdeveloped ideas, that's why. And one of the things that I noticed, that one was okay. One of the things that I noticed that I wanted to chat about was the reason the notes are so short is because of what I was hearing when I lengthened them. So for instance, when the violin plays this line here, if I extend this note, the transition starts sounding unusual. There's a crossfade that I was even trying to get the expression, the mod, the dynamics level to help with, but see that crossfade that happens right there? Meow. Now, you'd say maybe that's because of this, right? Okay, well, I don't really want it pushing that hard, so I have to figure out how to... So I start bringing it down. And there, you hear it again. So right there, I'm like stuck with this velocity level. So that's out of the box, and that's when you're gonna want to... We're gonna assign it to 108. I still don't love the crossfade. I just want it to... Anyway, so you end up fiddling with that, and I'm mostly trying to just show out-of-the-box stuff. So that's the reason that the lines ended up being so short, is because when they're just short, they sound fine. And while there's a bit of a spick overlay here in the total performance because of the velocity of this, I left it because of in the mix, I kind of wanted the violin to pop there. The viola is actually what you're paying attention to. Your ear is drawn over there instead, so I left the violin in. Now I did change the timing of these two parts because the glissy... See how this, one of these instruments, transitions to that note later? The scripting for the total performance and the viola straight regular legato, which it was a portamento due to the low velocity. The scripting did not, to get them to sound reasonable together, not perfectly in sync, like robotically in sync, although they kind of sound robotically in sync. You can see I changed a couple of these initial note timings. So there's the viola. There's the violin. Because the scripting wasn't identical between the portamento of the viola, which is the articulation that was happening. See, portamento is selected, and the total violin's total performance. It doesn't tell you, I don't think, which transition it was choosing, but I ended up adapting. The viola was still leading and dominant to your ear, so I let the viola dictate what our ear was listening to for timing. I like those timings. Now, if I were doing this again, I might switch from total performance, or if I was making edits, so that they are closer. I bet we could get the violin to do that, which I feel sounds much more natural. I bet that I could get the violin to do that if I switched out of total performance. That's close enough, though, for spending an hour on a piece. So the audio kind of clicks when I switch instruments for some reason, so I'll stop that and play it again. Sorry, I don't know why the audio kind of stops when I switch instruments. Yeah, it's kind of an undeveloped gesture here. Somehow I thought the cello was finishing a phrase, but it sounds like musically I need to keep working on that. Move the violin one up an octave. You can hear those spick overlays really clearly, but it was working with the other spicks in the piece. So low velocity, low spick overlay. I was trying to get a slow transition, so I had the velocity way down, but it doesn't do that gliss. So I was finding my groove here and actually starting to develop the motif a bit, but my hour was up, so this is all you get of actually trying to start combining this gesture or this phrase. And my time was up. So I was just beginning to hear how they could start coming together in a nice, interesting way. I should see what CSS, Cinematic Studio Soloists, do with this. I could also throw Josh Bell on there. I mean, this was just sort of out of the box, mostly out of the box. I didn't really change any settings. And here's the whole piece from the beginning again. I do hope this is helpful to someone. I wasn't trying to do a critique of the Spitfire Solo Strings. I actually love them. I was simply trying to explore them and notice what is going to be a little bit more challenging to work with out of the box. And here's my noisy outro.